Hi Freelancer, welcome back to the Freelance Blueprint. I'm your host Lisi, a freelance UX designer and digital nomad. Today we're going to talk about how to prepare for a holiday as a freelancer. If you're listening to this while this episode launched, holiday season is coming up, and if not, this podcast episode is to prepare you to successfully have time off as a freelancer and business owner without the stress and anxiety that something goes terribly wrong while you're offline. I don't know about you, but for me, I go through phases where I'm just trotting along and often forget to pause and revisit my goals and figure out what to do next with myself in the business. And to find answers to that, it's often best to take a step away from the business and figure out what makes you happy and how to achieve that life that you want and make work for you and fit around your lifestyle instead of the other way around. And I'm probably the worst person to talk about how to take a break because it happened to me so many times that I take work with me and I'm used to it. It's not really a holiday in that case. I'm a digital nomad, so I take work with me to any beautiful destination. That's a holiday for most others. But today we're going to talk about how you can make a holiday with all this. Oh my God, my inbox is going to fill up like crazy when I'm gone, or nobody's going to look after this project when I'm gone, all these kind of things. So this episode will hopefully help you get peace of mind so that you can enjoy your holiday, even if it's going to be a very easy, quick reply to answer this colleague's question of where he can find this file or like all these kind of things. As a freelancer, you've probably found yourself in a situation where you're finally on holiday, trying to relax by the beach, and then you reach for your coconut, and then your phone goes off with a Slack message, and you can't just ignore it. You read it, and suddenly you're transported back to your laptop and your head is full of like, I should be doing this, or like, maybe if I would have worked, I would have earned this extra money, all of these kind of things, and you can't enjoy your break. Or maybe you're new to freelancing and you're thinking you will take a holiday once in between client projects, but let me tell you that this never happens. Because when you're in between clients, you'll be working on finding the next client, or you're going to spend time updating your portfolio, or you think that you will plan a last minute flight somewhere, but often they're not the cheapest, or it's too much choice and you don't know where to go. And by the time you make up your mind, then there's another client project coming in. So you can't be as spontaneous as you think you might be. So long story short, plan your holidays or it won't happen. Or it will happen in a very chaotic way. The good thing is when you plan, you can prepare for it. You can communicate long in advance with your clients that you'll be off and that you won't be checking your phone. You should also give them another reminder when you're about to go on holiday, even if you told them long in advance that you're going to be off at that time. And if they need anything important to tell you now, because you're not going to check your work emails once you're on your trip. So make sure you set those expectations early on. When I first started freelancing, I felt so guilty for taking time off. I thought I had to be available 24/7. Otherwise, I'm not a good freelancer. Or what if they're looking for someone else in the meantime and they prefer working with them and then I have to find a new client, all of these kind of things. Or what if the most amazing project comes into my inbox and then it's the one time I'm not checking it. And then in the meantime, they find someone else, all of these kind of things, so that my auto reply pushes them off. But let me tell you something. We're humans first and business second, and taking breaks isn't just a nice to have, it's a must as a freelancer. It's so important for your mental and physical health and your overall well-being, and also for your creativity. Like, how many times do you go on holiday and come back and feel just motivated to be back at work? I mean, maybe if you're working 9 to 5, not as much, because then the holiday is your escape. But if you're a freelancer working on your own business, I love getting back to business. I love when the holiday ends and I can dive into my goals and also helping my clients achieve their goals. So a holiday is needed so you can also appreciate work. But to have a good holiday, you need to be able to switch off. So how can you do that? I'm going to tell you what has worked for me. And hopefully it would work for you too. But also we are all different. Find what works for you. But you can definitely take some guidance in all the things that I do when I'm going on holiday. So first, you need to plan your holiday. Don't just wing it. Book some time in your calendar. You don't need to decide yet where you're going to go, or if it's going to be a solo trip, or if your friends are going to be available. Just define the dates. That's the most important stuff. Buy your tickets so your dates are more set in stone. And of course, you can always cancel the flight or adjust the dates, but make sure that you have a rough plan for your holiday. And maybe you also have a holiday at home, which is fine. But either way, block out those days for yourself. And then the next important thing is to communicate with your clients that you're going to be away. So when's the best time to tell your clients that you're going to go away? From my experience, the earlier the better. I usually let them know 4 to 6 weeks before I'm leaving, or as soon as I book the trip, depending on if it's a project that's gonna get into the time period when I'm on my holiday, or if it's gonna finish sooner. If it's gonna finish sooner, there's no point in telling them you're going on holiday after the project ends. But if you have an idea of like, okay, I think they might extend the contract, or maybe there is going to be something off the bat of this project where they might need me again. It's also good to give them a heads up so that you can tell them, oh, if you want to continue this, or if you want more of my time, I'm going to be away on those days, so that they can also plan. So why do I tell it this early on? Because it gives them time to plan ahead. It shows them that you're professional, you consider their needs, and most importantly, it gives you both time to wrap up anything important so that they don't have to bother you during the time that you're away. So how are you going to let them know that you're going to be on holiday? This can be very easy. This can be a formal email, or depending on your client relationship, it can be a simple Slack message. And unlike when you're employed, you don't need to ask for permission if you're going on holiday. You don't need to get someone's approval. Don't ask them, is it okay if I take 2 weeks off in summer? Don't do that. Don't. You are your own boss. You are doing your own business. You don't need to get a client's permission to go on holiday. Instead, you can tell them, I'm not going to be available on these days. I'm going to take some time off, whatever. You don't even have to justify why you're available or not available. So what I usually do is I send them an email or Slack message. It sounds like this. Hi, client name. Just wanted to give you a heads up that I'll be away from whatever the dates are. I want to make sure that you have everything you need from me before then, and that the project is moving ahead smoothly. Let me know if there are any important deadlines or deliverables that you need from me before then. And then most of the time, because of the early heads up, the project manager or client will find a way to make it work. Or also what happened to me a lot as a UX designer is that my designs are ahead of the developed work anyway. So it gives the developers some time to play catch up with the designs I've delivered. But of course, if there's a tight deadline, or maybe there are some things coming up, they want someone a bit more urgent. And it can be tricky if you're going on holiday during the time there is a deadline or there's a new release. So make sure that you communicate very clearly with the client when you're going to be away. So of course, if your holiday clashes with an important deadline, that's even more the reason why it's so important to give them such a heads up so that they can prepare for it. And also keep in mind, you're not always the project manager, unless you're a freelance project manager, then that's a different topic. But when you're a freelancer, you're in charge of delivering your work. You're not there to always manage the project, depending on, of course, what you offer. So maybe you want, like you have a client that asks you for some brand identity, then you might also have, depending on the client, have to handhold them a little bit so that the things get out of the door, because maybe there's no deadline. But if there's a client with a specific deadline, with a specific goal, they also have to manage their project to get everything done. And to be able to do that, you need to tell them when you're available and what deliverables you can give them at what time and all of these kind of things. So again, always over communicate with your client, send them more reminders than needed, maybe that you're going on holiday. I mean, you don't have to tell them every single day, but tell them once you book it, tell them a month or so in advance to make sure that everything's done, and then tell them again another week before you're leaving, and then the day before, something like that. So yeah, the client needs to also make sure that they achieve their goals. And if you, as one of the resources, goes on holiday for a few days, they need to find a solution to it. And the more you help them, making it easy for them, the better it is. Also, don't be scared of taking a holiday, because we're all human. I'm pretty sure everyone's aware that we all need a break at some time. And just because you're not their full-time employee doesn't mean that you're not having a planned holiday. And so far, I've never had a bad experience with going on holiday, or even if a client's like, we want to book someone for December or January, and I tell them that 2 weeks in January, I'm going to be gone, then they usually make it work around it. So don't be scared. Don't try and get a gig and then tell them after that you had some holiday booked. Always tell them upfront. Okay, now let's talk about out of office emails. So what to do when you're on holiday, because that's also a good way to set boundaries. And it's also a good way to put a smile on someone's face. So don't make it boring. Don't just keep you can just have the default auto reply with, I'm currently out of the office and will be back from this date or whatever. But you can also make it more personal. I'm personally a big fan of making it fun to work with you, because then also it's much easier to get that client on another project with you. And I don't think it's a secret, but sometimes people are surprised. People don't often hire the best person. They hire the person where they enjoy working with them. So even if you're the best copywriter in the world, if you're an asshole, if you're like rude, people are not going to hire you again. They would rather work with someone where they enjoy working with. So how can you make them have more fun working with you? And I like to put a little bit of jokes in my out of office. And the first time I sent them, I found it very cringy. But then I also had a lot of positive feedback from the people that received that out of office reply. I have the same message. I just tweak it a little bit based off where I'm going on holiday. So you can Google a lot of fun out of office examples. You can use this template, which is what I'm using, which is also like showing that there's more to life than just work. So for example, the email I sent recently was when I went to Sri Lanka, and the subject line was likely lost somewhere in Sri Lanka. And the content was, hi, thanks for your message. I'm currently on holiday until the date. In case your email is important, please follow these steps. And then I kind of take the piss a little bit. The first one is like, is there a deadline to meet before whatever my return date was? If yes, go to point 2. If not, go to the last point. And the last point, of course, is like, just wait until I reply. That's the point of it. And then the second is someone actually going to die if we don't meet that deadline? And then if yes, go to the next point. If not, go to the last point. If someone is going to die, are you sure I'm the right person to help? If yes, go to the next. If not, go to the last point. And if you think I'm the right person, I'm very flattered. Have you reached out to me on WhatsApp? If yes, I'll come back to you ASAP. If not, this is my WhatsApp number. And then the last point is like, please sit back, relax. The only other email I expect from you is one with recommendations for restaurants in wherever I'm going. And then I basically wrap it up with, if there's nothing else, you can expect a reply from me by this date. If I appreciate our client relationship, I might reply earlier. Have a great week. And then I just sign off with my name. And it's funny because I sometimes forget who messages me, and most of the times it's just like my newsletters that I get or some leads here and there. My accountant messaged me during the time I was on holiday, and that email went to their generic inbox, and she told me that everyone in the office was laughing about my out of office reply. So it's quite nice to leave a positive impression even when you're not there. So don't feel weird about taking the piss off yourself, or maybe also work on your colleagues, because it's your business. Like, just make it fun a little bit. I think people will understand. And like I said, the first time I said this auto reply, I thought like, this is going to be cringy. Maybe people don't understand the joke, but I had so many positive responses. So just find something that sounds like you, something that you don't feel too weird about. And I don't think anyone really likes getting emails. So if you can send them an email that's a little bit more delightful, then do that. Why not? And again, people like to work with someone whose personality they like. And that might make them enjoy working with you a little bit more. So it's more likely that they will hire you again. Either way, the most important thing to include in your out of office email is when you're going to be back from holiday, and that they shouldn't bother messaging you too much. But the thing is, sometimes just having an out of office reply isn't enough if you're still checking your phone with work related messages. What can you do? And here's what I do. I actually delete all of my work apps from my phone before I go on holiday. My Slack is gone. I have a separate email for my work-related stuff. So I delete that specific email app. I delete all the project management tools that might send me a reminder that, oh, here's your summary of your time tracking or whatever it is. I delete all of that. And it's so freeing. And if you come back to work and you realize you don't really need those apps, it also frees up time and space for you in the future. Just the act of deleting those apps makes my shoulders relax and make me look forward to my trip as well and prepare me for the trip. But also, nobody's perfect. If I'm on a holiday for 2 weeks, I do check my inbox occasionally. I think that's very normal when you're a business owner. There are things where you cannot 100% switch off. And I'm not a mom, and I'm also not planning to have children, and I'm also not judging anyone who is. But I guess that it's kind of similar where you can never switch off being a mom. You just can't. Like, you will always worry about your child. And I think it's the same way that once you create your own business, you will always have your business in your mind, but it's up for you to set those boundaries. Maybe you manage to not hear or say anything about work for the time you're away, Personally, I'm usually itching to get back to work after a break. Like even after like 3-4 days, I want to do something. I want to create something. I want to see progress on something, but maybe I'm also a weird person, or maybe that's the reason why I'm doing quite well as a freelancer, but because I really want to do those things. But also, if you love the life that you create for yourself, there's nothing wrong with checking your work-related emails once in a while. So don't stress if you end up getting back to that. But then if you see yourself like actually working, not just like maybe checking and overlooking things, but then actually working when you should be off, maybe you have a problem. But either way, make sure that your clients know that you're gone, and also set those boundaries for yourself and do this for yourself. It's not just to benefit the client, it's to benefit yourself that you have some time off. So don't spend too much time on the phone. I have one client who always messages me on WhatsApp about projects because he knows how I deal with my email inbox, and that I don't, like, if he would message me on WhatsApp, he knows that I will see it earlier than if he would message me on Slack or my emails. But once we're on a project, I always send him a reminder to not message me on WhatsApp and use Slack instead. So if you notice that some clients do that, tell them you're on holiday. I would appreciate that any future messaging goes into Slack or emails instead. Or another thing that I sometimes do is, even when they reach out to me on WhatsApp, I know that they're trying to get me to work for them or do like just this one small thing while I'm on holiday. And that one specific client, I told them several times to message me on Slack and not on WhatsApp. So I'm just completely ignoring the message. They know that I'm gone. It's not a surprise to them. So don't feel bad to stick to your boundaries and also not reply until you're back on holiday if it's a work-related message. They will survive. Maybe you're thinking, what if the client doesn't survive? What if I lose the client? There's two things I say about that. And one thing is, the whole time I've been freelancing, and it's coming up to 6 years now, I've never lost a client because I took a holiday. If anything, I feel like they respect me with how I deal with going on holidays and for how I set my boundaries and that I take care of myself. And they also see me as a professional and human, not just as someone who delivers a service for them. And second, do you even want the type of client who wouldn't want you to go on a holiday? Because yes, they might hire someone else in the meantime, but it's not just that a client chooses you, you also choose your clients. So like Apple would collaborate with any designer, not any designer would collaborate with Apple. I mean, yeah, maybe they do. Like, I don't know any designer who wouldn't want to collaborate with Apple. But like, that's again, positioning of Apple. Maybe you can become a freelancer that is like Apple, where you can choose who you want to work with. Nobody's going to say no if you offer to work for them. But yeah, that's branding, that's positioning, and like all these other things, and it's a topic for a different podcast. But you are your own business. You are a freelancer. You should also choose your clients. And if you realize that you don't click with them, or that's a type of client that is just going to cause you more stress than something that helps you achieve the life that you want for yourself, then it's also good to lose that client. And if it's a client who doesn't want you to go on holiday, there's a red flag that, yeah, maybe they are one of those clients that you need to skip. Either way, taking a break is important, and you need to protect the time for yourself. And the benefit is, after a break, you'll be more productive, more motivated and refreshed, unless you end up in a 10-day trip in Mongolia like I did not too long ago, and then you probably want a holiday after your holiday. But normally, you're going to be happy to come back and be more productive. So to sum it up, here's a quick checklist of what you need to do for your next holiday. First, tell your clients, before you do that, first, book a holiday, set it in your calendar, make time for it, plan your holiday, because otherwise you end up burning out. And then in that kind of madness and burnout and stress, planning your holiday is just too much on top. So first, plan that holiday. Then tell your clients well in advance when you're going to be away. Take advantage of your out of office message. Make it fun. Make it enjoyable to read it. Delete all the apps from your phone that have anything to do with work and might drag you back into work. And most importantly, enjoy your holiday. Actually have a break. Don't just think about like, oh, I'm on holiday, I should be working about this, or like check your emails. Enjoy. Try to be in the moment. Try to enjoy your holiday. That's it for today's episode. I hope you found this useful and will be able to take a proper break. And remember, you're freelancing to make work fit around your life, not the other way around. and life should be about having fun, and that includes holidays and not just work sessions. And if you have any questions about how to prepare for your holiday, or if you want to share your idea for your out of office reply, just comment below. And don't forget to hit the follow button. 116 people already signed up to this podcast, which is like so crazy to me to think that there are like, if I would imagine 116 people in front of me who actually follow this to listen to what I have to say. So thank you so much for signing up. And if you haven't signed up, but you listened to this podcast episode all the way till now, just curious, tell me, why didn't you follow? So yeah, if you want more content like this, you can also follow me on Instagram. It's at Elisabeth Mayr, Elisabeth with an S, Mayr. And yeah, that's all from me, and I can't wait to have you join again next week, and I hope you enjoy your holiday.